Hey guys, it's Rexper here. Just wanted to let you guys know before the story starts that I am actually starting to do storytime videos. So if you wanna, if you're interested in this topic or you want to hear more life stories, let me know in the comments because this is kind of like a new series I'm gonna be doing. I've dabbled in this before. If you've been watching my channel for maybe over a year, I have done this type of content before. But I just thought why not share some stories? So yeah, let's get into it. All right, so this story starts when I was about 15, and it was one summer, and I was at summer camp. Right now, I love summer camp, and I've been going for at the time I had been going for about 3 years, and it's a really wonderful experience. You know, you're there to have fun, and it's like for me at least. I know it's longer for some kids, but for me it's like 2 weeks. Um, and it's a real great time to get in nature and just get away from like cell phones and social media and stuff. Like I know it sounds corny, but uh, that's kind of how I view it. Anyway, it's just a time to appreciate like your friends and do some sick activities and have a nice time in general. But there was this one kid at my camp when I was 15, and he really he did not like it at all. Now, I think he had some problems at home. I think that's what like kind of triggered it. Um, but overall, he just was not having a nice time, right? So we got to camp, and I could already tell this guy was a bit off. Like he was constantly making jokes that were just like really inappropriate, especially for a camp setting. And he didn't really seem to be a team player in certain activity, in a lot of activities actually, almost all of them. And he wasn't nice to be around. He kind of lowered the atmosphere a bit and made everyone kind of feel like a bit on the strange side. Anyway, well, one day we had this activity. Now it's kind of like an evening activity, and one of the activities was we had to take care of like a younger cabin because at 15 we're classified as CITs. So for one of the weeks we're at camp, we have to look after a younger cabin, and I had my cabin. I was with a buddy, and he had another cabin. Let's just call this kid Brad. Now Brad had another cabin. It was next door to the one I had, and he was tasked with taking care of these kids. And there's kind of like this forest attached to the camp, and you can get there through like a 10-minute trail. So he was gonna take the kids to through the trail with another kid. Let's just call him Jack, and Brad and Jack were gonna go together and take the kids to have a campfire. Now, me and my other buddy, who were taking care of a different group of kids, we were just staying at the campsite because we didn't want anything bad to happen. You know, we were like, look, I get the kids want to have fun and you go to the campsite over across the lake, but like, it was kind of like the counselor's day off, and we were only CITs, and it was our first year as CITs, so we didn't want to get in too much trouble. So we were like, maybe this isn't okay, maybe it's not a good idea. Anyway, we just stayed put, but these kids went off. Okay, now we're sitting chilling, and my friend is reading, and I'm just like sitting on the side. I think I was talking to another friend who just walked past, and all of a sudden, right? So keep in mind, Brad and Jack, I think that's what I call them. They left like I want to say 50 minutes before this interaction I'm about to mention just happened, but 50 minutes after they left, this actual counselor, not a CIT, he's probably like in his 20s, rides up on a cycle like super fast. Okay, he's got a bicycle. He rides up super fast. He's got like a light on the front and a helmet on. He's like, "Yo, have you guys seen Brad and Jack?" And I'm like, "No, what's going on? Is something wrong?" You know, me and my friend we were kind of falling asleep because it was a late night. It was a late night program. It was like, I think it was like 9 o'clock or something, 9:30. Anyway, we were tired. It was a long day of activities and a long day of stuff, and we were just like trying to go to bed. And I was like nodding off, and this guy comes like he comes zooming down the track, and he's like, "Oh, have you seen Brad and Jack?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I think they went over to the other side of camp." And I was like, "Yeah, well, they didn't take the kids." Well, I mean, he said, "Oh yeah, well, they didn't take the kids." And I was like, "Oh really? Well, it was like 50 minutes ago. Like, what is going on with the kids?" And he said, "Oh yeah, the actual counselors, not the CITs, are taking care of them now, but they were alone for like a good 30 minutes." And basically what happened was the counselors found out that they didn't take the kids and they had gone by themselves to the other side of the lake. And there was this manhunt that had been organized by a group of counselors who were like, oh yeah, by every counselor. Like the camp was on alert, right? Trying to hunt down these kids. And he actually said, why not follow me? We're really trying to find these kids. So you're friends, you're in the same cabin as them. Why don't you give us some insight on where they might have gone? So we were like, yeah, sure. I mean, anything. Because not Brad. Brad was the kid making the jokes, and he wasn't really that good. He was kind of a bad egg. But the other kid, Jack, he was with, I actually liked him. He was my friend, and I don't think he was really a part of what happened. Cabin assignments for who you were looking after as CITs was completely random. Like, I was luckily paired with a buddy, but Jack got stuck with this guy called Brad, and yeah, it was kind of unfortunate. Anyway, we followed this counselor, okay, down to the dock. So we were kind of like on this hill, and he cycled down to the dock, and we followed him. And we were kind of searching around, and then we noticed a canoe was missing. So these kids took a canoe, like these two kids took a canoe. I don't know if Jack was in on it or anything. Well, I do now, but I didn't know at the time if Jack was in on it. And basically, they took the canoe to the other side of the lake to try and escape camp without taking the kids, without doing anything like that. And it was crazy. We were like, what is going on? Anyway, this counselor comes up to us and is like, okay, hold on, stay here. And he zooms off into the forest. There's kind of like this exit to the left, and he just zooms off. And we're stuck there like, oh my goodness, what's happening? What's going on? Anyway, we go back to our posts, and we keep on chatting, and basically everyone knows now, because not all the kids, because all the kids were asleep. We were on, like, night duty, but all the kids in my cabin knew, basically, and in the girls' cabin as well, they knew. So we were all talking, we were like, what's going on with Jack and Brad, and, like, where are they? Are they okay? Anyway, half an hour passes, and we're all paranoid, and then the same counselor at the bike comes back, and he says, oh yeah, by the way, Jack and Brad are just sitting on there was kind of like a canoe dock on the other side of the lake. We're just sitting on the canoe dock, like huddle, like kind of shivering there because it was so cold. And they were like, oh yeah, they're in shorts and a t-shirt from like earlier. And they were like, oh yeah, we were going to freeze. Anyway, I was like, okay, well, at least they're okay. But like that was, I had like a kind of this preconceived like notion that Brad kind of got Jack in on it. Anyway, I kind of continue my evening normally. Like I go ready for bed and I do all my normal activities, and then all of a sudden I hear people playing on the basketball court, and I go down to see the basketball because it's like loud, right? It's concrete and you're bouncing the balls. Anyway, I go down there and I see Jack, and I'm like, dude, what happened? Because like Jack's my friend. I want to make sure he's okay. Brad, like he's a person. I care about him. Obviously, that's just nature, but a bit less so than Jack. Anyway, I asked him like, yo, what happened? And Jack said, literally, Brad said, look, wouldn't it be funny if we go in the canoe to the other side of the lake and like run away from camp? Now, Jack's a smart kid, right? He's very smart, and I do like him for that aspect. But sometimes he can be a bit silly in times when it's like peer pressure type situations. I think you might even know someone who's like that, but you know what I'm talking about, most likely. Anyway, they decided to do it together, and it obviously didn't go well. And Jack actually told me that Brad was saying like, dude, we're gonna die out there. It's gonna be so bad. Like, oh, what are we gonna do? We shouldn't have done this. Anyway, that was pretty much the end of that. I mean, I talked to Jack for a bit more, and then I went to bed. But the following morning, we actually had a trip planned, okay, to go to a water park or something. And the kind of like head counselor came up to our table, or our cabin's table, at breakfast, and was like, yeah, Brad is just kicked out of camp. He is not he's not staying in your cabin because he was rude the whole time he was there. He didn't follow the rules, and he just tried to leave camp. And he first of all abandoned the little kids who couldn't really do anything for themselves, but he also roped in Jack, and Jack's like a nice kid. So he said it was like the first time he actually had to kick someone off camp in like a year, which is crazy because there's like a bunch of different like camps happening at once, or like sessions happening once in one summer. So we were shocked because I at that time I had been going to that camp for a long time and no one had ever been kicked out of camp. But I wasn't surprised as well. I mean, this kid clearly didn't want to be here, and he wasn't like, as the head counselor said, he wasn't actually attributing any positive factors into the team that is our cabin. So yeah, he got kicked off. He didn't get to go on the trip, which was really fun, by the way. Probably one of the best trips I've ever done at camp, if not the best. And yeah, this kid Brad, I mean, I might do another story time, like delving into why he did it. Like, I know why. And he was, yeah, he did have some things going on, and there are some more stories about him, but I might save that for later. But anyway, yeah, that's pretty much the end of the story. He ended up getting kicked off camp, and never really heard from him again. So the moral of the story kind of is like, try not to be like a Brad. That's all I'm saying. Look, if your name's Brad, that's fine. I don't really mind. Try not to be like the Brad in this story, though. Especially in that setting where it's just inappropriate. Like, don't make silly decisions just to kind of like appease a short-term desire. You know what I mean? Like, he was trying to get out of camp in the short term when he wasn't really thinking about all the long-term repercussions. Anyway, thanks for listening or watching or whatever you want to do with this video, and see you next time. Peace.